moving to the state of British Jewry at the time, Jews are expelled from England in the 13th century. They don't return until the time of Cromwell. So when we talk about Shakespeare and the Jews, what are we talking about in England? The Jewish community? Did he know any Jews? Were there secret Jews that he might have known? How do we put this into its context?
It's a big question, and it's a really fascinating one. Shakespeare would not have known openly practicing Jews, not people who felt they could practice their faith openly, and which I'm sure we'll get on to. There's clues in the plays. He doesn't know that much about Jews in some ways. As you say, Edward I had expelled Jews from England, from Britain in the 1290s. Some had begun returning as refugees in the 1500s. These were usually either Jews who were still practicing their faith, but secretly coming back from Portugal, Spain after the Spanish Inquisition, and some people who actually had converted to Catholicism, but were of Jewish ethnicity. And obviously, with the persecution of Jews, people don't really distinguish. Henry VIII had brought over some Italian families of Jewish descent as musicians, and there are a few kind of musical dynasties of the Tudor era. The most famous is the Bassano family, and Shakespeare would have known a lady called Amelia Bassano Lagna, who was from that family, but because she was the mistress of his patron at one point. There are a few kind of, if you like, celebrity Jews in early modern England whom he would have known of and might, as he became closer to the court, have known personally. Sometimes these are Jewish people who are working as translators. Sometimes they're involved with building up libraries and antiquarian collections of Hebrew documents. Sometimes, because Elizabethan England has a massive espionage network, you get individual kind of specialists who are involved either here or on the continent with English military or espionage assistance, someone like Hector Nunes. Sometimes you get translators. The most famous, most high-profile Jew in England, although I should say this is somebody who had been baptized Catholic as a baby for kind of pragmatic reasons by his family, was Rodrigo Lopez. Now, he had come over, become a high-profile doctor in Britain, and had risen to be the Queen's physician as a kind of Portuguese refugee originally, but then he is executed for allegedly plotting to poison her. I should say everything Shakespeare had been educated to believe of Jews would have been anti-Semitic. That kind of goes without saying. That is the nature of an Elizabethan Christian education at the time. I don't think that Shakespeare had ever really travelled outside England. And it's worth noting that where we get much more sympathetic and rational and well-informed accounts of Jewish people by English Christians are people who have travelled. These are people who have gone to places like Venice or Amsterdam or Morocco or Turkey or Antwerp, and they have met Jewish communities and they've had those ideas challenged.